Hey everybody! In this video, I'm going to show you how to use indigo dye with Jacquard's Indigo tie-dye kit. This box will make a 5-gallon bucket full of indigo dye and do over 15 shirts. So this is a great project for a group or a whole family to learn about indigo and also the process because it's amazing. So let's take a look. Inside the kit, you get the indigo dye and 2 different powders that you combine together to create your indigo vat. That's what we're going to be using today. You also get a full set of instructions with the history of indigo, some gloves to keep clean, and some rubber bands, blocks, and popsicle sticks for binds, ties, and folds. For more information on how to fold your fabric, check out our video on shibori with indigo. Some things that you'll need that don't come in the box. One is a 5-gallon bucket. This will hold your indigo dye. And you need it to have a tight-fitting lid of some sort. So if your bucket doesn't have a lid, have some saran wrap or something that you can make it airtight with. You'll also need a stick, one that will go all the way to the bottom of your bucket. This way we can stir everything together and then we'll be ready to dye. To be safe when we're mixing the dyes, have a face mask. This will keep you from breathing in any of the dye powders or any of that stuff that you really don't want to inhale. So safety first with the mask. I also like to set up my station so that I have a towel close by my bucket. This way I can lay down a piece that I've dipped and a bucket of water close by as well. This is good to wet your fabric before you dye it and also to submerge it when you're unbinding it. So once your station is set up, let's mix our dye. So I have a 5-gallon bucket full of 4 gallons of the hottest water that I can get out of my tap. Inside here, I'm going to add my indigo first. That's the dye, my good old blue indigo. I'm going to put my stick in and stir in a nice smooth motion in a circle. I don't want to get this all sloshy. After I've stirred it in one direction, I'll stop my stick and reverse. This helps to incorporate everything without getting air into the vat, which is important with indigo dye. After my indigo is mixed, I'm going to add in my other 2 powders. My soda ash, and then my reducer. Once everything is all mixed together, I'm going to seal this up with some saran wrap or a tight-fitting lid and let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour, just so everything is all well mixed. While I'm waiting, I'm going to fold some fabric. When choosing what you're going to dye with indigo, you have a lot to choose from. Indigo is unique. It will dye any 100% natural fiber. So, not only your plant, cotton, linen, rayon, all of those, but also your protein fibers like silk and wool can be dyed with indigo. Even things like leather, wood, and reeds. And I'm sure everyone is familiar with blue jeans, right? Well, every pair of blue jeans is dyed with indigo. This is a great way to revive a pair of old faded jeans simply by dipping them in indigo and getting a bright new blue. Indigo is always blue, but you can control how deep that blue is simply by how many times you dip it in the dye. One dip will give you a very light blue, while multiple dips will give you a much darker blue. So let's take a look at how we do it. Okay, our indigo has sat for about 45 minutes and I'm going to remove the cover now. You'll see the vat has a sheen to the top of it. And that's because the top of my indigo has oxidized. Oxygen is what turns indigo blue. The actual color of the dye bath is green. So I'm going to take just a little spoon and scoop this over to the side. Anything that you use for dye, don't use it in the kitchen anymore. So these are going to be your dye utensils now. Now I'm ready to dip. This dip dye process is super cool. You can see it change before your eyes. When you're ready to go, you want to wet your fabric and then squeeze it out so that it doesn't have any air in it, but it is damp. So here, this is just a little swatch of fabric that I wanted to show you so you can see how green this dye bath is. As soon as you remove a piece of fabric, you'll see the color of the dye vat. It's green. Once that bonds with the oxygen in the air, it will turn blue. It happens right before your eyes and is super cool. Ideally, you want to wait about 15 to 20 minutes between dips. So, while you're waiting, you can either hang your fabric or lay it on a towel. If you lay it down on a towel, remember to come back and flip it in between so that air gets to both sides. To create a graded effect, this one I dipped once to show you how it turned blue. And this time I'm going to dip it in, but not as deep. Pull it over so it drips off to the side, and then let it turn blue. Each time I dip this piece, I'm going to dip a little more shallow so that it becomes darker on the bottom and lighter on the top, simply because of how many times I've dipped it. When you're happy with how dark a piece is, remember that once these are rinsed and dried, they will lighten a few shades. So if you like the way it appears while it's wet, you may want to dip it 1 or 2 more times to achieve the darkness that you'd like. So let's take a look at dipping a bound piece. This one, I've got my block binding, popsicle sticks, and rubber bands. So I'm going to wet my fabric and squeeze out all the water, and here I'm also squeezing out the air. Since the air is what turns indigo blue, it's important to not incorporate air into your dye bath. So here I'm squeezing extra air out, and then I'm going to slowly lower it into my dye bath until it is completely submerged, and let that soak. You can let it soak for a minute, just a few seconds, but you don't want to let it drop all the way to the bottom of the barrel. There's residue down there and it can create spots on your dye piece. Once everything is fully submerged, you're going to pull out your dyed fabric and immediately pull it over to your towel. Don't let it drip back into the vat. That pulls oxygen in there. Again, you see this really cool green, and we'll watch it as it turns. My piece is fully blue now, completely. And I can either dip it again or now rinse it. After you've dipped it for the last time, you'll lay it out and let it turn blue again, and then you're ready for rinse. So here I'm going to take it over to my water bath. Once your piece is in your water bath, it's safe to unbind. This will keep any active dye from getting in your white areas. So I'm going to undo my rubber bands and take my blocks off in the water while my piece is submerged. When you unfold your fabric, you'll find that you see those green spots again. Those will turn blue as your piece is exposed to oxygen. So first we're going to rinse it really well here in my little bucket, and then I'm going to take it under running water and give it a good rinse with some mild soap and set that out to dry. But check out this cool pattern. Once you're done with your dye, it can be disposed of down the drain, and your utensils can be cleaned easily with soap and water. If you have extra dye, and you very well might because this makes so much, simply seal it up so it's airtight, and this will keep it full intensity for at least a week, if not a little longer. So if you're looking for a good project that's full of history and science for educational purposes, or you're somebody that wants to dye and learn a new process, indigo is a fantastic way to go.